So I just wanted to talk as if you girls were here with me while I'm making spaghetti. And yeah, so I wanted to talk about this whole time, especially since I have yet to upload, all of us have yet to upload. And how I'm choosing to, I'm making my phone. Deal with it. Ways that I've learned that I've been coping with it, that is spaghetti sauce. Anyway. I already put seasoning in. I'm just making spaghetti. And so at the beginning it was hard for me to do anything. My brain just wasn't working. And I still get in those moments where I'm just overwhelmed and scared for no reason, just scared. And then I found ways of coping with it, positive ways of dealing with it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect, but I just thought I would talk about those ways that I've been dealing with it. And that is prayer, being honest and upfront with God about literally everything, just everything, like cussing at him, screaming at him. Because I used to do that in Bayside College, specifically at 7 a.m.s, and I found it very therapeutic. So prayer, one. Also having like key verses to like repeat when I'm having a mental breakdown. This isn't turning out well. I think I have too much spaghetti, not enough meat. That sucks. Anyway, so then when it comes to productivity, when you have no job, as some of you guys may know, it is very difficult to find motivation to do anything. So I just started with like small steps, which was just reading, and it was hard for me to read, so I just started listening to audiobooks. And turns out I can understand audiobooks and know the full storyline of books by just listening to them. So that's pretty cool. It's also very therapeutic when I'm doing something like baking or cooking, listening to audiobooks. So yeah. And then what else? In terms of this time, I found it very difficult to breathe when it comes to the topic of racism. I don't know if you can see me. Can you see me? No? But confiding in friends that look like me, but also friends that understand me and empathize with me and care about me, is really nice because it's emotionally, there we go. It's emotionally taxing when you have to explain to someone when there's something wrong, you know? Instead of just having a safe space to just be able to open up and have that person automatically understand and know, it's really nice. Those are things I've been doing. So the reason why I opened up my phone and just recorded is because I was watching this video. It's Girl in the Word, and she said this whole time, like, we are literally living in a civil rights movement and a global pandemic. There are people who have lost their jobs, and then there are people being targeted for their skin color. On top of that, politics and the church's complicity, and having to juggle, in my summertime, having to juggle the fact that I have to move out and I have to get a job and I have to know my career path, and it's overwhelming. And I always like to dog on myself because I feel like I'm not doing enough. But at the end of the day, we're all just trying. There's no guidebook to knowing what exactly to do at the right time, what exactly to say, how much to say, whether I should say it or not. And something God's been telling me is that he loves me regardless of how much I post, how little I post, regardless of whether I am frustrated or upset, regardless of the lack of participation that I do in terms of like working hard or the hyper productivity part of myself that wants to do everything at once. And so I just thought I would share that with you girls. That's my chat. I feel like all my chats end up kind of depressing, but it's fine because it's like, also something I'm learning is that not everything has to be like put in this pretty little bow. I hate how there's literally no lighting. You guys want to see a ring light? Anyway, so and I learned that at my local when we had the question of, you guys know, the question of like, can you lose your salvation? And everyone had differing opinions, and then we all agreed that, well, they all agreed that it was nice to not have like a definite answer instead of just having like just differing opinions. And I was like, I don't like that. I love having definite answers. And that's just the reality, is that like though my chats or whatever I speak about can be overwhelmingly off-putting, that's just reality. And sometimes there's good that comes from it. And something that I'm learning is that there's so much grace. And this is a spaghetti. See, there's not as much meat, which is very depressing. I'm gonna put this in a Daisy's pink bowl. We're gonna try a taste test. I already kind of ate lunch, so I'm kind of full. Yeah, so audiobooks are my jam, and though we're not in technically quarantine anymore, it's pretty good. Yeah, though we're not in quarantine anymore, I thought I'd just let you know what I did. I did a lot of things, but that doesn't really matter. Just like the things that like help me cope with like life and how the problems that I faced and how I like dealt with them. These taste like spagheteos. Okay, that's it. Bye.